Welcome to the Edge of NFT, the podcast that brings you the top 1% of Web3 today and what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts of the business side and also the human element of how Web3 is changing the way we interact with the things we love. This podcast is for the dreamers, disruptors, and doers who are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Edge of NFT, live at NFC Lisbon. Shout out to our friends at Pizza Ninjas for bringing us over to this amazing event and get to hang out with someone I keep running into. I was just at your event, Ordinals Asia.
Yeah.
This is Jan, the CSO, Chief Strategy Officer at Xverse. Man, Lots been happening the last few months. I'm sure it's nice to be able to take it all in now and not be running a conference where like the only thing you're taking is the tactical side of that conference. But it was a great event, by the way. And I think, what's your thoughts on the fact that we're now seeing this integration of sort of an Ordinals event within an NFT event? I think this is fairly unprecedented with this type of cross-pollination.
It is.
What does that signal to you more?
Yeah, I mean, the signal is pretty clear, right? Like if you look at 12 months ago, we have been pitching this kind of collaboration ever since Ordinals really took off, right? So we have been in the space from the very beginning, from day one. Obviously with Trevor, we have been building a community through the Ordinals show. We have been on spaces every week, just like never giving up on Ordinals, even though everybody is saying for the first time that like, hey, it's dead, it's not going to go anywhere, which is obviously bullshit. But yeah, I think we have been pitching this kind of collaboration between NFT communities and obviously kind of integrating Ordinals into it since the very beginning. And this is the first time it's actually happening. So I have to give props to Trevor for making this happen because I think...
And John.
Obviously John, who is hosting this entire event. So shout out to these guys because, I think we're going to see a lot more of it moving forward. I think it makes sense. I think Ordinals have established themselves as the asset. They're not going to go away. There's going to be some ups and downs, obviously. It happens in every ecosystem. I could claim that NFTs on other chains are a lot more dead than, Ordinals. If you look at some of the metrics and if you look at some of the floor prices, etc. But, ultimately, yeah, I think this is a great kind of stepping stone. I don't know, like the real data, like how many people we actually onboarded these 2 days. Like, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to figure it out, but like probably 5,000 people came here these 2 days and they have heard about Ordinals if they didn't before, or if they were just kind of like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, and it starts with that curiosity, like
100%.
Something's happening, and then you kind of go deeper from there.
100%.
So I should disclaim to our listeners that I use your wallet on a daily basis, so I have some bias because I enjoy the product. And what I'm really curious about, we'll talk about the product after. I want to know about the data. Like this idea that Ordinals is dead, NFTs are dead. You have a wallet that's sort of a key sort of connector to the marketplaces. People are buying and selling on it. What does the data tell us about where we're at in terms of the state of the market?
Yeah, I mean, we have basically been growing nonstop since the beginning of Ordinals, just because we were the first wallet that actually supported Ordinals. And to some extent, I do believe as well that we have kind of the most comprehensive product offering when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to Ordinals and all of these other protocols around it. And so I think that the data, it's pretty clear, the ecosystem just keeps on growing. Obviously, there's always ups, there's spikes, because, for instance, around halving with runes, we have seen incredible amount of interest, just...
Are you able to talk specific numbers at all in terms of...
I don't think that the specific numbers, we have posted publicly that, we are way above 1 million downloads, already. And so, again, that growth has been incredible. And I think, we just keep on growing even today. When people say Ordinals are dead, there's still a lot more people that are coming through. Obviously, again, as I said, that there are going to be events like Runes, there are going to be events like certain collections launching where you're going to see a massive interest. we have seen a massive interest thanks to, like, for instance, when Memeland was doing the farming for Arsik, one of the runes, and so we have seen an amazing spike in interest into Xverse and into Ordinals. And so there's always going to be those kinds of events that onboard like tens of thousands of people within a very short period of time. But even beyond it, like, we just still see like very steady, very organic, very healthy growth of, downloads of the usage, and even like certain other things that like people actually use that product on daily basis, on regular basis. They're not just like, okay, I'm going to download it, I'm going to get some airdrop from Pizza Ninjas, which is something that is happening throughout this conference, and then I'm going to forget about it and never use it again, right? Like, that's not really what the data is telling us. It's like people just come and open the app every day, check it. Some of them obviously trade very proactively and like degen really, really hard. But even if you're not like that extra, like super hyper degen, like you're still kind of like, using that product on regular basis. You said you use it every day. I do use it every day, obviously. And there's a lot more people like that. And so that's what we see, And so I think when everybody says, or not everybody, but when people say, hey, Ordinals are dead, I'm just like, guys, like, come on. I know it's a good meme, but, realistically, it's bullshit.
Yeah, we saw the size of the Asia Ordinals event, and all the side events that spun off of that event. There were over like 700, 750.
We had a lot more than that, actually. I mean, we had around like 1,100 people signing up for that event. And, not everybody showed up, obviously. But we had I think, around 900 people coming through, the event and the after party. And, maybe even some people that just sneaked in, which always happens. We were trying to...
the numbers are always fuzzy in Web3.
Because
like people don't necessarily follow the rules. Because
we try to make sure that obviously people cannot do that because it's not fair compared to the other people that actually bought a ticket early. But, you cannot like 100% prevent that from happening, And
no, it was a great event, man.
So it was big. And like, to your point, like the momentum was crazy, right? Like, when we started thinking about doing that event in the first place, I was like, in my mind, I was like, what would be a success criteria here, right? And in my mind was like, hey, let's have like 400 people. And if we can do that, then it's going to be a huge success in my mind already, if we can do it in a way that people actually enjoy the event. And we have had more than double that, right? And so to me, it like just tells you that the energy is strong. And yes, it's not always going to be straight up to the moon, all assets going crazy, ballistic, everybody making money. Obviously, that's not how it works in Web3 in general. And so people just have to have realistic expectations. What I'm super excited about to see is that the core group of people, the people that are real builders, investors into those builders, and people that really care about this ecosystem here on Bitcoin, it's organically growing, And you can see that people are just showing up to events around the world. Like, I'm here in Lisbon, I'm usually in Hong Kong, but I flew in just for this, And I'm probably going to fly to I'm going to be in the US, in 1 or 2 months, attending a bunch of other Bitcoin and Ordinals events. And so you see that this core group of people that really kind of make that ecosystem happen just keep on showing up. So like, it's not that.
Yeah, I mean, we also have like all this interesting Bitcoin L2 development, folks like BitLayer that were part of your event. They're in Austin right now, though. They're representing here, too. So I think that convergence is really interesting, where 100%. There's a new narrative around Bitcoin where it was this incredible store of value that you had to explain to your parents and your siblings and your Web2 friends. But now there's more to it. How do you go about sort of explaining sort of where we're at now, where it's like, just kidding, it's actually, yes, it is a store of value, but there's a lot more you can do in that ecosystem. How do you sort of explain that to folks that maybe previously you were talking about it as just a store of value? Because it's a different conversation these days.
It is a very different conversation. I think ultimately, it just takes time, right? Because there's many groups of people that will think about Bitcoin differently, and I think that's right. That's correct. We, obviously sometimes we meme it and sometimes we make fun of people, but it's really just for the sake of memes. I really love to hear and see the diversity in the Bitcoin ecosystem. There's always going to be certain group of people that will only look at it as store of value, that will buy it, store it on their Ledger or any other cold wallet and never touch it and just like, okay, let's stack sats. And it's great. If you do that, just keep on doing it if that's what you want to do with your Bitcoin. But beyond that, well, maybe let me put it this way. In the past, that was the major narrative. That was the only narrative. Like, Bitcoin is really just a store of value. Right now, we have kind of flipped that on its head, and now we're kind of seeing like what else you can do. Now people are talking about art on Bitcoin. People are talking about meme coins and shit coins and, fungible tokens on Bitcoin. And people are starting to talk about, as you said, like, how do we make Bitcoin more usable? How do we kind of add more programmability? How do we scale it? Like, should we do another soft fork or not? And so I think that these conversations are important and they have to exist, because otherwise, like Bitcoin is not going to be relevant in a way that maybe other cryptos are, because people just get hyped about something else, And so I think the fact that we have this diverse conversation and people are experimenting and doing things that maybe are true to themselves, it's great. And not all of these things are going to win. Not all of these things are going to be successfully turned into $1 billion companies. Of course not. Some of these L2s are going to succeed. Some of these, or maybe most of them, are going to fail. That's just what it is in startups in general. And so I think that's very important and to understand. And I'm just like super excited to see that people actually want to do shit with Bitcoin. I think that's the most important thing. And we should celebrate creativity. We should celebrate people spending their time and people spending money trying to like actually build something. Of course. Are we going to see a lot of scams? For sure. I mean, that's what happens everywhere in this world, not just in crypto. And so ultimately, yes, like we have to work as a collective to, support the ones that are actually, building real things that add value to as many people as they can. But, it's a progress. So we're still at the very beginning of it. L2 narrative just started, really. So we cannot really make any conclusions. We'll see where it's going to be in 2-3 years from now.
Absolutely. So speaking of building, it's the day-to-day building that makes products great. And I know Xverse is continuing to iterate on your product.
Yep.
I've seen those changes in the app and the experience. Adding the runes sort of interface is really cool. What's next on your roadmap that you can share?
And so many things. I mean, ultimately when it comes to Xverse, there's always like 35 things that we have to be doing and we have to be improving.
Well, all right, top five, or top three.
We're very demanding, and I'm a big user of the product as well, and I'm like on my team every day, like guys, like we need to change this, we need to improve this, we need to do that.
So in my food tech company, we call that the yeah buts, right? You want to get rid of all the yeah buts. Like this app is amazing, but I want that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think immediate roadmap, what we are working on, we're doing a lot of stuff, kind of the underlying infra to improve, stuff so that people don't really have to think about like, okay, why this UTXO and this UTXO and why like do I spend more money on fees because I have way too many UTXOs and stuff like that. Like there is these problems that if you're not an advanced user, you're not going to understand what am I even talking about.
Yeah.
But these things exist and we need to kind of abstract them and we need to make sure that a casual user, somebody who is new to here, doesn't really get overwhelmed by this, right? And so we're really working on these kinds of things kind of like under the hood that maybe, it's not going to be something that you see in the UX, UI, etc. like immediately when you open the app, but we really want to make sure that the experience is smooth as possible. We're also obviously working with a bunch of other companies that are developing on the Runes protocol, on the Ordinals protocol, making it better, allowing people to, mint edge runes more easily, allow people to trade runes more easily. We're working on integrations with many different platforms in the Ordinals ecosystem to integrate them into the Xverse wallet directly to make sure that you don't have to figure out, okay, where do I go sell it? You just click one button and it's done, right? And so that's the stuff that we're really kind of like spending a lot of effort on right now. But, at the same time, there's always a lot of things to improve. There's a lot of mini bugs that happen that people report, oh, I would like to improve this. Why does it work like this? So we have to address those things as well as we grow the company.
Cool. That's exciting. Ooh, I'm just kind of curious. You said over 1 million downloads. That's a lot of downloads relative to sort of what you might expect for a Bitcoin focused wallet where you have OG folks that had their wallets they were using. You have the exchanges hold a lot of this. The government holds a lot of this. And then you have like a fairly tight-knit Ordinals community. Where are all these downloads coming from, and how are they hearing about your product?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately there's a lot of users in crypto that maybe obviously know about Bitcoin, but they were not really using Bitcoin before. They were all degening on other chains. And so we definitely see the majority of people that are playing around with NFTs on Bitcoin, Ordinals, with, obviously runes, etc. They're coming from other chains and rediscovering Bitcoin again because now, oh, cool, I can actually do some cool stuff with Bitcoin. I can buy some meme coin. I can buy a dog. I can buy some, whatever random meme coin because like that's fun. That's what people want to do. That's what degens like to do. And so many of those users coming from there. Obviously, we also are converting some of the Bitcoin users that were not really using Bitcoin. They maybe have a wallet that the Bitcoin sits in, but it's not being used. It's not that like, they're like transacting with Bitcoin every single day. And so many of those users are also kind of like trying it out and like, okay, I can maybe buy this art. I can buy this. I can make money here. I can make money there. And so ultimately, I would say most of the users really coming from the existing crypto ecosystems, just rediscovering Bitcoin. And also like in the process, we're onboarding new kind of Bitcoin users and reactivating some of the old Bitcoin holders into and turning them into actual users. Because I wouldn't say that Xverse, even though yes, we have had, this milestone of like 1 million+ downloads and we just, kept growing since then. So it's a lot more right now. But, I wouldn't say that in terms of like number of wallets, we're the biggest one yet, right? Because as you said, there's a lot of like these like dormant wallets that like have Bitcoin, but they're not really doing anything with it. And that's probably millions of people. And then you have these exchanges, also millions and millions of users that have Bitcoin just on the exchange account. And so I wouldn't say necessarily that like Xverse is the biggest Bitcoin wallet period, but I think we're the biggest Bitcoin wallet where people are actually using Bitcoin every day and doing something with it. Because if I have my Bitcoin in Sparrow, I usually just have it in a cold storage and I don't really do anything with it because I cannot even use Sparrow Wallet to connect to a marketplace,
It's very clear your focus is on, daily utility. How can I open up this wallet and do something that is meaningful to me today?
Exactly.
And if you want to, but it also works as a store. If you just want to hold your Bitcoin, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot wallet at the end of the day, right? So I would never recommend anybody to store a lot of assets and that are worth a lot of money in a hot wallet, right? Ultimately, if you do that, you should at least connect it to Ledger, which you can do with Xverse. You can connect Xverse to Ledger, and then you can use it as a cold storage interface type of thing. But ultimately, yeah, like we're a hot wallet similar to MetaMask. You want to use it for your Web3 applications. You want to connect to a marketplace. You want to degen with these things. And if you get lucky, or if you're really that good that you make a lot of freaking money, then you should probably, put it on your cold storage. That's what you should do.
Practical advice. Thanks, Jan, for hanging out and catching up and doing all the things that you do to support the ecosystem. It's great to spend some time together.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the interview.
Hello, everyone. This is Josh Krieger, host of Edge of NFT, live at NFC Lisbon. And this series of roadshow conversations is powered by Pizza Ninjas. I just got here in a red eye. I'm ready to go. I'm here with Arielle Wengroff, who's the executive producer and VP of communications at Ledger. And we've been chatting for a while. It's great to meet you, IRL, and catch up on what you guys are up to.
No, thank you so much for having me on. It's the beauty of this conference. You get to meet people that you haven't had the chance yet.
Yeah. Now, is this your first time at Lisbon, or?
No, this is our third year at NFC, which is amazing, and it's so fun to see so many familiar faces and just be able to reconnect with people that you know so well. There's some newbies as well, which is great.
Absolutely. And I guess you were telling me you had a big announcement today, the Ledger Stax launch?
Yeah, that's right.
That's Stax, S-T-A-X.
S-T-A-X.
There's other stacks in our industry.
Yeah, and it goes like this. It's actually magnetized. It was designed by inventor and godfather of the iPod, Tony Credell. And it has Ledger's uncompromising security. And this is something that we had to work really hard to be able to produce at scale.
Yeah, it's really beautiful looking.
Yeah, I mean, it's the world's first curved e-ink display. And on top of that, you can personalize the spine and you can personalize the face of it with your NFTs. So we really see this as like the next standard for secure wallets and logins, what you can do with it.
Very cool, very cool. Well, congrats on that. So Ledger's coined this concept of creative custody, and I know custody is such an important topic as we kind of get into this mainstream adoption world. So many stories of SIM swaps and hacks. We don't need more of that. Like, we want a real, true bull market, right? So tell me more about what you guys are doing there.
Absolutely. I mean, every year is the worst year for cyber attacks and crimes, as you said. So now as there are more creators and collectors building in the space, we want them to understand how to secure their value, how to use it, and how to do that on a daily basis. So we've worked with many different artists and communities, from Bright Moments to Bright Noon to Fuck Render to more and more. And it's something that's important to us. We couple education with creative value, and we do a lot of custom ledgers. So creative custody is really our expression of that, and we know as we continue to grow and be chain agnostic, that'll be a key component.
So it's been really interesting to see sort of the evolution of the NFT space, and now, of course, Ordinals. Obviously, art is sort of core to, it's added a lot of culture to our industry. Speculation only goes so far, but it hasn't been easy for the artists during the bear market. What's your sort of aspirational vision of where art and sort of cartography fit together moving forward?
Well, art leads revolutions. I mean, you need a crisis usually to create a response, which is why Bitcoin and cryptography came out of the 2008 financial collapse. But to get adoption, you need cultural authority. So the artist will lead the way, which is why it's so important for us at Ledger to work with artists and double down on our commitment. We actually have an NFT collection at Ledger that we know one day will be worth the same as JP Morgan's art collection. And so we continue to work with different artists and community leaders across the world. It's very important to us. And even when the bear market was happening last year, we doubled down on our commitment to creative resilience, and that's why we're at NFC again. It's not necessarily the largest TradeFi conference. It's actually about people who care, who are creating and building, and they're getting thousands and thousands of people to build with them, and that's how you start a movement.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I remember back in the day when I lived in Washington, D.C., Busboy and Poets was sort of leading the charge with the renaissance of some of the most vibrant areas of Washington, D.C. now. And it started with bringing the artists and the poets to that part of town. And then, of course, we have to make sure that we keep supporting them, right? Because often, especially if there's any parallel in sort of the world of sort of industrialization, artists oftentimes get forgotten later and not acknowledged for their contributions at the jump.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting because so many brands in the last year walked away from the artist commitments that they made or from the conferences they made.
Yeah.
And for us, it's that's everything. That's your trust, that's your experience, that's your relatability. Because if you don't have sound, you don't have words, you're teaching something new, you have an emotional connection, and that's what art does. So we believe in it really deeply, and it's been fun with Ordinals getting into the space, even Jack Butcher and some of that work. We're huge fans at Ledger, and when we see something new happening, we're cool, we want to work with that person. We want to be as chain agnostic as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have seen we're right next to the stage for the Ordinals Lisbon,
Yeah,
right? We wouldn't have expected that last year, right?
No, 100%, which is why I love it. And then the room is filling up, and that's a testament to that.
Absolutely, it's getting louder. The next talk is about to begin, but it's great to have a chance to chat in person. We'll dive deeper on a future show for sure. Anything else on your roadmap you want to cover before we jet?
I think the most important thing for us is making sure folks who need self-custody get access to a ledger and educate a friend, make sure that you're staying aware. But Stax is shipping today, and we have more surprises coming this summer, so stay tuned.
Cool. You can just go to Ledger's website and social. And if people want to follow you, what's your handle on X?
On X, it's just @A Wengroff, so you can look it up, and more to come.
All right. Thanks, Arielle.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
A quick word from our sponsors who's ready to navigate the cutting edge of tomorrow's legal landscape. Because at Zuber Lawler, they're not just attorneys, they're visionaries. With expertise in emerging technologies like AI, blockchain, and the metaverse, they're paving the way for you to seize the future. For mergers and acquisitions to IP, their selective team delivers strategic solutions tailored to the ever-changing world of technology. Join us at Zuberlawler, where the future meets the law at zuberlawler.com. Back to the episode.
Hi everyone, Josh Krieger here, co-host of Edge of NFT, live at NFC Lisbon. This roadshow is powered by Pizza Ninja. Shout out to those guys. And I'm having some really fun conversations with leaders in the Web3 space, and got to catch up now with Violetta Zaroni. It's great to see you. Last time was in LA when you performed at our VIP event, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Where are you based these days, actually?
I live in Nashville.
Oh, cool. So two United States guys heading over to Lisbon to see what's going on. What's the vibe here? What brought you to NFC Lisbon?
Yeah, I'm actually performing downstairs at the Ordinals Lounge, thanks to the Ferrum Network and Paymon Studio. They flew me out here to do a couple performances, and I just spoke at a panel as well. So.
Cool. And what's your take so far? I know it's day one, right, in terms of what the community is like over here in Europe.
Well, I'm from Europe, actually. I'm from Italy, and I only moved to the United States 2 years ago. So it's actually pretty good to come back and see that there is a very thriving community. I'd never been to Lisbon before, but it does feel like it's one of the hubs for Web3 and crypto.
Absolutely.
Right? So
it's been 20 years for me, and I've been wanting to come back. It's just been, there's so many different events around the world, but the timing just made sense to come and see what's going on. And we have an ordinal stage, right? Which is, I think, a good sort of segue to the conversation I wanted to have with you, because I know you've always been looking at pioneering ways to sort of advance distributed music and decentralizing, getting away from the Spotify and iTunes of the world. And it sounds like you've been doing some experimenting with Bitcoin. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for sure. For me, the more decentralized you can get, the better. Obviously, I don't necessarily believe this is the way for every music artist, but I do definitely want to try and provide an alternative way for musicians to make a living and expand their communities. And so last year when I heard about Ordinals, I immediately dove in and I started inscribing one-of-one songs to really embrace the Ordinals theory, the one-of-one sats and everything, and also trying to establish this narrative of one-of-one music, which is not really a thing. People don't really collect music as unique pieces, and you can do that now on Ordinals. So
yeah, I guess there's people that have collected albums historically, signed autographs albums, but even them, I mean, those are multiple edition prints, right? It's not one. So how is that going? How has the world responded to this concept of one-on-one?
When you try to explain it to people, it makes sense to everybody, but they feel really stupid that they haven't thought about it until that moment. And they're like, how did I not think about this until now? Because it does totally make sense. I personally have purposely not sold any of mine, because I think we have plenty of time and this is only the beginning. And I think, like we were saying on the panel earlier, scarcity and longevity are keys in this ecosystem. So yeah, I'm in no rush.
Cool. And what kind of music have you recently released? What do you have coming out soon?
I mean, I've recently, to be honest, just been building and touring a lot. It's just been, I released 2 albums in 1 year between 2022 and 23. It's just been nonstop, 15 songs or so. So for the past year, for the past 6 months or so, I've just been traveling and performing and building connections, and have another tour coming up at the end of summer.
Now, is that going to be the decentralized tour that you were... So tell us a little bit more about that. I think it's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, I want to prove a point. I want to prove the point that a musician who's using Web3 to build a community can also go on tour and do a sold-out headline tour around the United States without the need for a booking agent, a manager, or a label. But they can do it themselves, leveraging their community. So I've asked my community to tell me where they live and basically provide a venue and invite all their friends to every show. And so we're going to have about 50 people per show, and on board every single one of them through music to Web3. So yeah, it's ambitious, but we're going to do it.
That's amazing. I mean, it's sort of like a more decentralized version of So Far Sounds.
That's
and
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which is great for those that aren't familiar with that. And it totally works.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's cool. So is that going to be a global tour?
US first, we're going to test it, of course, and then if it all goes well and smooth and actually, we do manage to onboard a bunch of people, then we're going to go to Europe next year and then Australia and South America.
This will be a fun chance to see some cities that you've never been and catch up with some cities that you already...
Like 3 shows back-to-back in different cities and a day off then again, so it's going to be very hectic, but, I just want to bring music to people that would not get music otherwise,
Cool. What are some of the cities you're hoping make it onto the tour?
I mean, I already know where I'm going in the U.S. I hope to go to Australia at some point. That would be nice.
Yeah. But in terms of the U.S. cities, what are the cities that are coming up?
I'm very excited to go to Arizona. I've never been to Arizona. I'm excited to go to Wisconsin. I'm excited to go to, I don't know, like South Dakota. These places where big artists wouldn't necessarily go to, but those people need music too, and that's what Web3 is about. Actually being inclusive to people that, they don't need to move. I want music to go to them. I don't want them to have to go out of their way to look for it.
I love that. So, taking a step back from what you're doing, as you're looking at the space, Ruins and Ordinals, is there anything in particular you're excited about, that you've been sort of exploring personally?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a little bit of what I'm hoping to do soon. I would like to describe a music video, like a proper, traditional music video with myself in it, because I did some acting as well, a bunch of feature films and as an actor, and I would like to shoot a music video with myself in it and describe it full length. So that's ambitious, but we'll see. Maybe there's a smart person in there that can help me.
Is it one of your songs that you already have in mind for that?
Yeah, definitely. I do.
Okay. All right, I just have to wait for this upcoming opportunity. It sounds really exciting. And where can people go to follow you and sort of maybe join one of your tour stops?
Yeah, ViolettaZaroni.com. You find everything on there. So, yeah.
All right, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Josh Krieger, host of Edge of NFT, live at NFC Lisbon with some old friends and some new friends. Shout out to Pizza Ninjas for powering this amazing roadshow for us. And, there's been some announcements here. There's been some exciting news brewing for a while. Seb, always great to see you. We've hung out, I think, all over the world the last few months. And you've been telling me something is coming. And now that announcement has been made. So let's hear it. Let's tell our listeners what you guys announced.
Exactly. As you know, we have a lot of things happening all the time at Sandbox. We just passed 5.8 million users. We have 1,000 experiences live. And just yesterday, we finally announced the Sandbox DAO. So it's a major milestone for us. It's really stepping forward decentralization. We started building the Sandbox using and incorporating blockchain technology at the core, Web3, NFTs, to provide freedom to the players and the creator through true digital ownership. Now, we're leveraging this, setting up a foundation and leveraging the DAO to empower players and creators to have more autonomy, to voice, basically, their suggestion, to be able to vote, to participate in the future roadmap of Sandbox, define the priority on the development, define, the abilities for players, the gameplays, the way that the rewards will be distributed, the amount of the reward for season or event, the way we should manage the lands, for example, that we have in reserve, and many other things that pertain not only to the Sandbox platform, but the Sand ecosystem in general, and all the initiatives that will continue to grow the metaverse and grow the Sandbox as well.
So excited. And in a moment, we'll dive into that with the head of the DAO, who's also with us. But, I guess to sort of kick off the conversation, to get into more depth here, why now? Why do you all feel like this was the right time to do this for the Sandbox community? And what do we have to look forward to?
All right, thank you for having me here. It's the right time to do it because the Sandbox has been committed from the start towards the path of progressive decentralization. And like Sebastian has mentioned, everybody can go and create their own game on the Sandbox, right? So this is already empowering the creators. And now we want to take it a step further, which is now everybody can send and then can actually participate in governing decision, in the governance of the Sandbox and help grow the ecosystem by casting their vote, by making proposals. So it's a natural step for us.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? We've seen a trend towards sort of giving power to the people. That's what Web3 is all about. And we build these things to create a different future, an economy of sorts that sort of lives and breathes on its own, right?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, the first thing that we decentralize is the economy of the sandbox. When we first launched the Sand token back in 2020, we really wanted to have the ability for people to buy and sell using the Sand token on the marketplace, the content they create, to buy the land, to participate as well in various activity, and sometimes even outside of the Sandbox platform itself. So Sand has grown as a top 10 gaming token, a top 100 cryptocurrencies listed globally. And now, like through the DAO, they can use their Sand, they can use as well their land, and we'll talk about it because it's quite unique in the way that it was designed, to express their voice, choose again like how the roadmap should be made, and like which like project and initiative we should support. And why now? Like, you know, like it's been part of the white paper of Sandbox since we published it. To like progressively decentralize the sandbox over 5 years. We're roughly at year 4 of the project, and it's time. But we also wanted to make sure that we establish the right direction for this ship to sail, that we have the right product and technology for the creators to build exciting experience, fun content, that we have enough content from the creator with 1,000 experiences live, that we introduce the monetization mechanics for the creator as well to drive the creator economy, and to share the core value that we have as a platform. That's why also we have talked about the council and the advisor, like what they represent, a very inclusive metaverse, a very diverse. We have 30% from Asia, 30% from Europe, 20% from US, kind of like content, landowner, partners, and more. And all of that should be reflected instead of like decentralized too early and maybe not giving really an idea of the potential and driving the direction forward.
That's exciting stuff. So, Cyril, you have your work cut out for you. You're going to be quite busy evaluating all these different types of grants and creative ideas. So, I guess you're geared up for that. How do people apply for the program? What's the criteria, the options that are available for grants, like, and then we'll kind of go into some tips for success. But first,
yeah, thanks for asking. It's a great question. So, like I said, because we're committed to a journey of progressive decentralization, we're not letting organic proposal just pop out like that. Where we're helping people curating their proposal, we're helping them along the way. So, to answer your question, the process is very simple. We've got a website, sandboxdao.com. You can go in there. And there's a template where we ask you a series of questions. Anybody can go download the template, and anybody with a great idea can make a proposal. And then you send this template to a mail address, sip@sandboxdao.com, and my team will get back to you and will help you curate that proposal along the way as a way to make sure we get the best possible proposal that is put forward for the community to vote on. Later on, we'll release a little bit this mechanism and will enable organically more proposal to see the light of day. But this is like our path to progressive decentralization. We want to make sure we get great proposal at first, show a good example, and then leave the community run itself.
Amazing. Actually, it's already...
And we are live. Yes, we have 5 SIPs live, right? So you can already go in there and vote.
So is there different levels where I imagine like larger grants require a little bit more of a rigid process than smaller grants? Is there different tiers of grants?
It's all tailor-made for the moment. There's no official tiering per se.
Okay.
It's because it's human conversation with people, right? Because you realize that sometimes people, they have a great idea, but they don't know exactly how the process is to explain it, right? So this is why we're helping you along the way. Yes, we have a limited budget, right? But it's still a significant budget. It's a 25 million cent annual budget to support all proposal, right? So it's still a significant amount of money. But we can't give 20 million in one proposal, right? So we have to be reasonable as well.
You want to sort out geographically, creatively?
Actually, it's a very good point. Like maybe just walk back 25 million cents per year as a budget for the DAO is a good amount of money already to get started. One important thing is like we also want to make transparency at the core of this DAO. So right on the sandboxdao.com website, you can see how the budget is being split between all the different verticals. And like every time one SIP get approved and the budget is deployed, you can already see like the remaining budget balance. So any new SIP that comes, they need to be realistically aligned with the remaining budget. And it's going to be also revised by the council that we put in place with like, I'm thinking we should talk about a bit like who is in this council, was advisor that's ensuring as well that every SIP that will go through is actually really for the greater good of the platform, of the project, of the sound and the sandbox ecosystem, and not for the self-interest for a few like people who could control the votes. And we work hard as well on those aspects of design. We'll tell
I
you
think there's
more.
a lot of lessons learned from DAOs the last
Absolutely, and
years, right?
it's
We know
very
these
challenging,
like
right?
some landmines to avoid.
It's hard to get things right when you want to decentralize, but we have enough like learning and takeaways from other DAOs that we inspired from, ApeCoin DAO, etc. So we the two things we've done, and what's unique about the Sandbox DAO first is the fact that how a vote is actually being counted. So you can use not just the token SAN to vote, but you can also vote with lands, because in Sandbox, as you can see on this map, the map and all the lands is essential. We have 27,000 landowners and 164 lands in total. And landowners are active builders contributing to creating the open metaverse. So for each land, it will count as 4,000 votes, whereas for one SAN, it's one vote. That means that we have a more balanced approach toward the distribution of votes. 27,000 landowners, they own one land or two lands on average. 250,000 SAN holders who own 10,000 SAN on average on their wallets outside of the centralized exchange. We did a lot of simulation. There should be no single party or group of people who can influence the vote just by themselves. So ensuring true democracy at the core and ensuring that Sandbox on the long term can subsist, can live forever, even without the team to be involved.
Any closing thoughts, Cyril, before I adjourn?
Go visit our website, propose your ideas, download our template, and don't forget to vote.
And a quick note as well, like a DAO would not be something if you didn't have a proper council behind. So we're really proud to have announced 5 council members that will ensure as well the review of the proposal and a fair process and alignment. We have Yatsu, the CEO and chairman of Animoca Brands. I think he needs no introduction. We have Shannon Snow, the CEO and co-founder of A World of Women, with the largest community. We have Frédéric Montagnon, a serial entrepreneur with a strong background in Web3, veteran. We have Jean-Michel Payon, who is ex-executive as Ledger, and also now the founder of Grail Capital, very versed in art, and myself as well. So we all responsible for reviewing the proposal, and we are currently elected as well, so people can vote on the first 3 SIP on the constitution and the composition of this council, and we'll be here to ensure the transparency and the delivery afterward of the SIP. And we have 7 amazing advisors who also are very versed into what is Sandbox, what they have built project. Ina Moja, who is a United Nations ambassador, support the Code Green project. We have Zap Show, we have Loretta Chen, who is building a studio in Sandbox, Mateus Vivian, and Anthony Chow as well. So they cover different ground, different thematic. They all built something in Sandbox before. It's not about just influencing or influencer. It's about real builders as well.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm going to check it out. And, as someone that sort of builds ecosystems in the community and tries to think about thoughtful ways to actually produce real KPIs, I'm going to be thinking about maybe what we can do at Edge to support the Sandbox ecosystem. So
absolutely. Thank you for that.
And thanks for your time and excited about what's to come.
Definitely. Looking forward to more decentralization.
Hi, everyone.
And now for a quick word from our sponsor before we dive into the next segment. Are you ready to take your sports predictions to the next level? Look no further than MainCard.io, the fantasy management platform that's taking the blockchain world by storm. With MainCard, every card is a ticket to excitement. You can predict sport outcomes, trade cards in the marketplace, and challenge opponents in thrilling weekly duels. And don't wait. Head to MainCard.io now and start earning rewards with your NFTs, because it pays to be early. And now back to today's episode.
Hi, everyone. This is Josh Krieger with Edge of NFT, live at NFC Lisbon. And you guys have heard of comedy in cars. This is a new thing we're trying. We'll call this Gab with Gabe. I don't know.
Gab with Gabe. I like that. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
So basically, Gabe is generous enough to include me in this very special edition drop he's doing at NFC Lisbon with his partners at Transient Labs. But you could probably talk a little bit more about this collab and what you're up to. I don't want to distract you from...
I got to charge my Apple Pencil for a second, so you're good. I've been doing 3 NFTs plus a print for people, 101, where, it's my style, so it doesn't necessarily look exactly like you, but it's going to be a Cubist rendition.
I actually prefer that.
Yeah.
Like I'm more into like interpretive use of one's own image.
Yeah. So we're gonna do that. And then you tell me your favorite colors afterwards, and you'll help me like color it in.
That's so amazing. I've gotten the black and white sketch from you. This is like a whole other level.
I was gonna say we're trying to take it up 1 notch from that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like that's kind of how one of the ways I got popular was doing the black and white sketch, so always trying to find ways to kind of incorporate that into what I'm doing.
It's a new market, right? You got to keep evolving.
Yeah.
I know you've been doing a lot of travel lately. What's going on in the world of Gabe?
I got a solo show going on right now in San Francisco that I spent like 4 months on. Got a show in London going on until June 8th.
So you're doing simulcasts here.
Yeah.
San Francisco and London at the same time.
Just got back from Doha in Qatar. Did some art for some galleries there.
What's the difference between your show in SF and your show in London?
In London, it's a lot of paper and like one giant canvas. The show in San Francisco, I painted the floor, 24 different paintings, and this giant horse.
Okay. A giant horse. In your style?
In my style, yeah.
That's so cool. I was just at the Phillips Gallery in Washington, D.C., and was able to appreciate some of Picasso's work and Goya's work and Cézanne's work. When you sort of look at your art journey, who are some of the masters of the past that resonate the most with you?
To be honest, I think my number one is Basquiat. I think he did the most good for artists these days because he let people become free for the first time. I mean, you can make an argument like Jackson Pollock did it a little, but this like symbolism meets faces, meets everything. I feel like Basquiat, if people are being honest, like has done the most for us like contemporary artists. But I also love Picasso.
Nice. And who are some of your art mentors in your like early stages of your art career, and like maybe like some of the more memorable artists that you met or observed their work, their contemporary artwork, and it made an impact on you?
I mean, to be honest, I've got a very untraditional... I didn't go to art school. I was in politics for 20 years. And I did not study art very much at all. So, like, everything I've learned is, like, been a lot of, like, trial and error by myself, to be honest. Like, I wish I had some of the old school stuff, but a lot of it is just kind of coming up on the fly and then spending 20 years doing it every day.
did you collect art before you got into Web3?
No, not at all.
So when you're creating pieces like the one you're doing now of me, like besides like facial features and, you know, is there an energetic side to your art where like you're picking up on people's energy or
I would say 1,000,000%. It's hard to describe because like they don't look like them per se, but I'm like trying to get people's essence, you know?
But it kind of like speaks to you through its own language.
Yeah, right?
That's cool.
Do you have favorite colors?
Yeah, so historically I've always been a blue guy, like dark blues, light blues. But over time, my girlfriend has like also gotten me to appreciate green.
Green.
And red.
What do you call your eyes? Hazel?
They're hazel. So the brown and the green kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to do a little bit more green than I used to do. I also like black a lot. I think black is just a powerful, bold color that I just incorporate into my wardrobe a lot more. I think having a company with a that has like black and white lettering maybe has sort of made those two colors grow on my palette. I feel like I'm always in the world of edge of company or edge of NFT, but it was fun to do a different palette and branding profile for our event in Riyadh, where we picked up all the desert themes, the different browns and blues and yellows. That was a fun branding project.
Yeah, did you like Riyadh?
Riyadh was really, really special. Krista Kim came and Fessa came, and we highlighted 12 different local Saudi artists through a partnership with Newtalk. Shout out to them for powering a really cool art experience. And I learned a lot about the underpinning of creativity that's sort of present in so many economies that doesn't get discussed. Like, when's the last time you heard a news story about, the art scene in Saudi Arabia? Probably
never.
I
would say never.
But it's there, and it's pretty cool. And we had a lot of artists and creators come to our event, and I would say there's a lot of passion and excitement for supporting art and creativity in that region that people aren't aware of. So it was great to shine a light on that. We had this giant screen outside, probably the size of like 8 movie theater screens combined together, that we had some art displayed on throughout the event. It's like Times Square style screen.
Oh wow, that's enormous.
Pretty dope. Bessa said he had not seen his art on a screen that big ever, so it was special for the artist to get to have that experience too. Because I think art looks different, digitally versus a smaller canvas, a larger canvas, right? So, I'm sure you can appreciate what it's like to see your art in different environments.
All right, the reveal.
All right, we're there. I'm so into it. You even got my mustache in there, my goatee.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, man. That's amazing.
My pleasure.
All right.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of NFT reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.